I'm joined today by Chris Harvey, who is our European Head of Real Estate here at Mayer Brown. Thanks so much, Chris, for coming to join us.
Thanks for having me.
I just wanted to start with asking you to give us a brief overview of the real estate market currently.
In one word, challenging. The rising interest rates, the pandemic, global political tensions, it's all making for a really difficult market at the moment. Prices are falling and a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens.
And how does this compare to the sort of wider global market?
I think the UK was hit earlier because of our political situation, but everywhere around the world is experiencing the same headwinds. So generally there's inflation, there are issues with the banks, with SVB in the US. So different countries are at different points in the cycle, but everybody's feeling the stress.
And how has the COVID pandemic and then obviously the new working patterns that we're all seeing, how's that impacted the market?
I think it's still evolving. Generally in terms of the office space, a lot of businesses are looking at what they want. They're reevaluating what they want from their space. How can they get their people back in the office? I think generally the working week is shaping up to be 3 or 4 days in the office. And generally businesses are taking slightly less but better quality space.
And are there particular sectors within real estate that are impacted particularly?
The hot sectors at the moment are what we call beds, sheds and meds, which you've probably heard of. So beds being build to rent, student housing, co-living, sheds as in logistics and storage, and meds as in life sciences. So they seem to be the sectors that are attracting a lot of investment. They seem to be more sort of anti-inflationary. Retail got hit earlier, primarily because of e-com, but the prices have corrected more significantly on the retail side. That's now starting to look like an attractive asset class. Offices are still uncertain though.
And what about interest rates? How is that affecting and going to affect real estate?
It's had a massive impact. I mean, for any of those properties or sectors that are generally lower yielding, if you were buying something at a 4% yield and the cost of debt is now 5-6%, then it just doesn't make sense. You can't buy those assets with debt. So it's caused a reduction in transaction volumes. It's caused yields to push out for a significant number of assets. But also for those clients that have got refinancings coming up, they've got problems. Those buildings that were built, which were bought five years ago, now need to be refinanced. The borrowers need to pump in more equity. They've got to find it from somewhere. The loan to value tests under the loan agreements are getting tighter. So there's some clients are going to have problems.
And what's that going to mean then generally for people who are buying or selling?
It's a good question. I think generally, yields are pushing out and prices are falling. So there are opportunities there. We are seeing stress, but we haven't really seen a wave of distress, which you know better than me. But I think that we're finding a lot of buyers at the moment are concerned about catching a falling knife. As I say, prices are falling. They're kind of sitting on their hands. A lot of clients are saying, well, I can put my money on deposit at 5%. Why would I take the risk? But I think that once there's a sense that inflation's coming down, interest rates have topped out, then I think the market will turn quickly.
And where are you seeing opportunity for people wanting to invest?
As I said, I think that the most of the activity is that we're seeing is in the bed, sheds and med sector. Or sectors, but otherwise, retail starting to look attractive. I mean, previously yields on Oxford Street, for example, would have been between 2 and 3%. You can now get yields between 5 and 6%. So you've seen massive value falls there. Hotels are bouncing back. Clients are looking at hotels, and also we're seeing a lot of private equity funds looking at actually the lending sector rather than actually buying and selling. Also, I think ESG is playing a huge role now, and we have a lot of clients that are looking at a sort of a brown to green strategy in terms of repositioning assets so that they're more environmentally compliant.
So how do you expect the market to develop and change over the coming months or even years?
Other than kind of economically in terms of kind of prices starting to plateau, the real issue in our market is ESG. We already have new guidelines which provide that buildings have to be up to an EPC-D standard. And the proposal is that that changes to a C in 2027 and a B in 2030. So anybody looking at assets has got to be really mindful of whether or not the building complies, both in the capital markets and the occupational side. Everybody's chasing best-in-class, environmentally compliant assets, so that's the space to be in.
So what should clients be thinking about in relation to this?
I mean, what we're seeing clients go down is a kind of a brown to green strategy. So looking at opportunities in that sector, but with the cost of finance going up and the cost of construction kind of increasing, it's really difficult to make those deals work. So prices need to continue falling in many cases for those transactions to be economically viable.
Thanks, Chris. It's really interesting. I've got one final question for you.
Okay.
So for any clients who are watching, what would be your key takeaways?
I think I'd say conservative lending, be really careful. The cost of debt's going up, and really focus on best-in-class assets, whether that's in the beds, sheds and med space or offices which are, as we said, really environmentally compliant.